welcome back. Today I really want to start fabricating side panels, but before I do that I just want to finalise a little bit of detail on the seat. It sits there very nicely, and it sits on the original bungs, which are here, here and here. It stops any sideways movement on these seat posts, and it operates on the original locking mechanism, which is now raised up. I've welded a plate in here, as you've seen in previous episodes. I just need to put a thin piece of rubber on the back, probably about 5-6 mil thick, which will just support the back of this, stopping any rocking once I've got a pillion on. But at the same time, as you remember, I've welded a stud here to support this main relay box. I want to weld another stud there to support, and I'm going to change this bracket so that it supports both the main relay box and these two relays, sorry, fuse box and relays, in the same way that I did the side panel, just like a three-pronged piece of metal. At the same time, what I'd like to do is just going to weld on in this gap here between the seat lock and the relays and fuse box is just two bolts to act as studs. So I weld them to the top here, so we'll have to refurbish underneath, but I've already got one weld mark there anyway. And what I'm going to do in a sort of chunky bit of probably about 5 mil thick bar, sort of similar in size to this ruler, is just to mount that across there. And what that'll do is it'll come off and slide up on over the studs, but at the same time as providing a post to put rubber supports and bungs to just take up that extra support onto these bungs here. At the same time, it will provide some support for when I go on long distance just around Europe. Some crowns and panniers which will just mount there because and they lock on as well on a specific bracket. Had them on my previous bike, really good, expandable zips, waterproof, etc. And that will just be a hidden support for the panniers. And when I get there, it'll just be a case of undoing two nuts, lifting the seat, taking the whole bracket off, and then restoring it to sort of a bike, so I don't have to ride around great big clunky brackets. So in effect, it's like a saddlebag type arrangement. They're sort of semi-soft panniers, but with a 30-second and two nuts, I can just remove the whole lot and put the seat back on. That's what I'm doing today. This time I remember to disconnect the battery. So I've got my little stud or bolt. I've taken off the top, so it's just enough to weld it on. And I've covered up all of the, there you can see that, covered up all of the thread with various different nuts, just to protect any molten metal splattering up, because cleaning out threads on a freshly welded stud is just, why would you? So I'm going to weld these on now. I've got 3 to do. So I've welded on the studs. I've still got to fabricate the bracket for the 2 relays, but this is what I've been looking to do. So first of all, the studs have been welded on there. Oh, let's see if we can, there we are. So a nice big chunky weld. I know it's probably not the best looking weld I've ever seen, but I wanted something that was really strong so that it gives me the option of doing pannier brackets later on. So then I've got a nice big thick washer, and I've just trimmed out the inside so that sits over the weld nice and flat. Oops. Then a washer and a nylock nut. I'll hold that on, and that is what will eventually hold on the brackets for the panniers, as and when I fabricate those. There's no real urgency for that, although I am hoping to do a little trip across Europe in September. But so that's holding the thing on, and then again another more chunkier, thicker sort of rubber washer, which will just sit on top of that, and that provides, as I said, the necessary height, and the seat now rests on that. So as I said earlier, it locks into the seat lock itself, but that's in the center, and I just didn't want it sort of rocking, so now these fit on the underside of the seat, so they sort of double up as seat posts and also studs for the panniers. Good. So I'm going to move on to the side panels now. I have a cardboard template which I've been messing around with for several months on and off. So I'm just going to check it, and got 3 fixing points, and so yeah, and marked it out on 2mm steel, and I'm just going to cut that out now. I'm going to bend it along these inside lines here, and then just tack weld it on the corner on the inside, and then just sort of file it down and tidy it up. So this just stops it being just sheet steel, it just gives it a bit of strength as well, and just sort of gives a bit of cover to the side panel. So let's get on with that. Right, so there's the side panel, fitting on its new 3 studs. Just got to trim it a little bit down this edge here so that it's nice and parallel, albeit that the parallel lines aren't perfect all the way around the frame and tank. But that's it. So now I've just got to drill a hole here for the key release of the seat, and obviously a bit of hammering mark along the bend, but it's nice that it's got a bit of a return, and from the top, although you can't see that, there's a nice flat top to it as well. Right, that's one side panel done. Marked out the second. Let's have a look. So it's all about marked out, ready to cut. I've also marked out the bracket for the under seat relays. So let's get going. I'm always aware of safety, but my son came home from college and he burnt a hole in his overalls, and I thought, oh, that's just being bloody silly, just being a teenager, and must have done something on purpose. I couldn't feel a thing. It just goes to show you that overalls are probably a good idea, but I never wear good stuff into things, and just goes to show you how hot some of these things get. What do you do, eh? Keep an eye on it in future. Right, got the templates out. I'm going to wear some ear defenders this time. All that hammering makes on the vice makes your ears ring. So yeah, don't want tinnitus or anything. So. Right, it's not by any means perfect, and I'm not worried about the rust. It's only a bit of surface rust, and there's a fair bit of filling, I think, to do with dolphin glaze to get nice and flat. But that's the basic shape. And I'm just going to tack weld in the corner there so that I can then, so it doesn't creep, and then I can grind it all out and rub it down, drill the holes, get it fitted on. Yeah, at least it's not going to flex once it's fixed and it's filled and painted. That'd be good. We'll see. So all I've done is just weld that corner so that it's not going to pop open at some later date, and then I can grind it down and fill over it.
Right, so I've just cut the hole with drill and a hole cutter, which worked quite well. And fortunately, the hole circumference is when I got it up big enough is exactly the right size for a half round file, which is perfect. And as you can see, I've put in the wide and narrow notch, so that fits nice and snug in the hole. So that's cool.
That's very satisfying. Right, let's put the seat on. Proof of the pudding and all that. Seat locked. Seat unlocked. Seat locked. What can I say, eh? What can I say?